Hi, I'm David Lawrence, and in this video, we're going to teach you how to run on a lower extremity prosthetic and teach a healthcare worker how to help you learn to run. So, when we're talking about running and learning to run, there's three things I really want to talk to you about before we demonstrate actual running. And one of those issues is that this video is for basically learning to run or teaching someone how to run. That's just straight ahead. I've never run before, so I'm going to take some steps. Getting farther than that, learning how to run turns or cutting or backpedaling or more sport-specific training is another video that we'll be shooting in the future, but not today. This is about taking your patient who's never run before and just getting them started. So that's our focus for today. Second thing is there's three ways that I teach someone to run, three different mechanisms I'll use. One is called the hop-skip mechanism. The second is a leg-over-leg mechanism, which is more natural running leg over leg, but with a fixed knee position. The third is running leg over leg with a free or swinging knee position. So those are the three ways that you can teach someone how to run, or the three ways that I use to teach someone how to run. Number three is this basic idea of who, when, and why. In other words, who would I teach to run, when would I teach them to run, and why would I choose one of the mechanisms over the other? Well, the first is this idea of who. And I teach most patients to run, even older patients. A lot of people say, well, I have a bit of an older patient that can they really run? Well, yes, if someone's on a walker or a rollator, then most likely that's not someone you're going to teach to run if that's their best outcome. But if someone's walking with a cane, but walking at the community level at a good level, I still would like to teach that person the basic hop, skip running. That's the simplest, the safest way to learn to run. Why? Because for 10 or 15 steps, it might be really important for someone to move quickly, getting out of a burning building. More importantly, example I had with a patient is need to get to their grandchild quickly that's 10 feet away. And remember, when we teach someone to walk on a prosthetic, we're teaching just basically one speed. Now, if you've seen our gait training video or the step training video, if you haven't, you really should. That's a precursor to teaching someone to run. Is we talk about this idea of varying step length and step cadence. So be able to take short steps, long steps, quick steps, and a little bit slower steps. So someone can change speed while they run. That makes them much more functional when they walk. But if I need to teach them something about right now, I've got to get 10 feet really fast, I want to teach even an older patient that technique if I can. However, when I go down that process of when do I teach someone younger and how do I teach them to run, is we'll talk about that process and the progression of these three different mechanisms. So the second issue on that is when. When do I teach them to run? Well, let me tell you, learning to run on a prosthetic is bad walking. Again, go back to that gait training video, the step training video. You're going to see we talk a lot about the idea of loading that prosthetic limb in stance, especially through terminal stance, and then using your hip to initiate motion and let the release of the energy from the prosthetic take you almost on a momentum act through swing phase. As much as possible, doing very little with your hip flexors, just enough to get the prosthetic coming through the swing phase, but not kicking, throwing, pulling, yanking, anything like that. Once you go to running, though, that's exactly what you're doing. There's some kicking, some throwing, some yanking, some pulling action going on. Then you have to be working quite hard. It's an energy expenditure. As you know, if you've ever been a runner, you burn a lot more energy than when you're walking. So the process of when is I like to make sure someone walks well for at least 2 to 3 months before I teach them to run. So if I teach them to walk, I get them to say, okay, I know you probably can run, but let's really get in your brain a pattern of walking that will stick before we confuse your brain with a very different mechanism for running. And then even then, when you teach someone to run, you need to make sure you finish your session with a couple of laps of walking and reminding yourself, re-gear down your brain back to a walking gear, because you don't want to keep walking around with a very energy inefficient pattern, which is a running pattern when you're trying to walk. And the last is why. Why would I pick one technique over the other? Well, hop skip is almost taught to everybody because it's just a very safe, quick way to move. More importantly on this question is the idea of a fixed knee. That means my prosthetic knee is not bendable versus a bendable knee when you're running. Why would I choose to do one over the other? In my experience, really, that folks who are more distance running and want to run like a 10K or 5K or triathlons, they tend to really want that fixed knee position because you're going to take thousands of steps over and over again. And all it takes is one step where you don't get that leg all the way through and the knee comes down bent that you could go down. So it's a fixed position, so you're much more solid. The knee's not going to bend. But at that point, you're going to have to circumduct the leg to step it through. And they're going to demonstrate and show you that. So that would be one. And then the other side of that, someone's going to be more straight ahead running or more sports specific. I'm going to run here to get a ball. I'm going to backpedal. I'm going to do different motions. They really would like to have that knee move more naturally, more normally. And they're not taking thousands of steps over and over again in a single race. So it kind of depends on the individual. I'm not going to tell them which way to learn to run. We're going to show them the options and figure out what do they want to do and what's going to be the most effective tool for them. So the first mechanism for running I want to teach you, or mechanic, is hop, skip running. And it really is as simple as teaching someone how to hop and skip. If they can do those two things back together, that hop and skip will allow them to run. The mechanism is the safest way, the most stable way to do it, but it also probably the least energy efficient or the least fast way to do it. So what we're going to be doing is basically teaching you how to get this mechanism started for the lowest level patient and really any patient to get started. So hop skip, basically, if I'm standing in this position, and let's assume my left leg is the prosthetic leg, this is my sound leg. I want to teach the patient simply how to lift the prosthetic leg in the air and hop. If they can hop a little bit on one foot, then you know they basically have the mechanic to do this. Now I want them to simply advance up by saying, lift your prosthetic in the air a little bit, hop forward a little bit. Say, okay, that isn't so bad. I can hop forward. Now, all I want you to do is hop forward, take the prosthetic leg and put it down, or take a normal step, or it's a skip motion because it's from one foot to the other. You're going to step through over the prosthetic, no swing, no airborne, right? Landing on the prosthetic. Remember the difference between walking and running. Walking is both feet on the ground, one foot on the ground. Running is one foot on the ground, airborne, the other foot on the ground. With hop skip, my airborne time is from my sound foot back to my sound foot, and then I step through naturally on the prosthetic. So I step, hop, and skip. Hop, and skip. Now, if I turn around and show you together, putting those together, my left leg's my prosthetic leg, I'm simply going to step forward, hop, and skip, hop, and skip, hop, and skip, hop, and skip. And you can see I can actually get moving at a pretty good clip with that mechanism in a very safe way because I'm never putting the prosthetic into a position of taking all the load coming out of swing phase. So let's take a look at our patients demonstrating that for you. The next method of running is a leg over leg method, but with a fixed knee. So in this position, I am going to go airborne from my sound foot to the prosthetic side, and from the prosthetic side back to my sound foot. But I'm going to do that in a position in which my prosthetic knee is always in a locked position. And in fact, some of the runners that do this don't even have a knee on this side. They just run a pylon straight from the socket, the above knee or a transfemoral socket, down to the foot component. But the mechanism is basically a run leg over leg, but my knee is simply not going to bend. So when I demonstrate that or have someone practice it, it is simply this idea of, can I take the prosthetic out there in front of me and kind of throw my weight to it, just going airborne. So the drill is just simply, do I feel comfortable enough on my fixed knee to go airborne and land, and I can step and start over again. So I'm just going to go airborne, come back. Say, okay, that doesn't feel too bad. The next mechanism is, that's loading or stance phase. The next mechanism, how do I clear it? For example, if I step forward, normally my knee is going to bend to clear my foot. So since that can't happen, I have to clear my foot by circumducting or swinging my leg around, either hip hiking a little bit, lifting up, or swinging it out to the side to come around. So what that's going to look like is a situation where I'm going to step with my sound foot, I'm going to circumduct this leg and put it back into a position, in which here is what the run looks like. Now let me put it together and show you the whole thing. Final position, you notice that my left leg is my prosthetic leg. You'll notice the knee is not going to bend, but at that point in time, I'm still going to be running straight forward, right? I have to go around, around, and around. Now I can build up more speed than I could with the hop skip. It's more efficient. I am moving faster, but I have to be able to throw my weight airborne from my sound side to my prosthetic side. So again, let's take a look at our patients demonstrating that for you. So our next video, we're bringing Samuel in here because we're going to demonstrate how to not only teach you how to run leg over leg with a bend or flexible or free knee motion, but at the same point show you how you should spot someone. So even on those first two, I want you to realize you'd spot the same way that I'm going to spot here. Some of the cueing is the same cueing I gave you, but the cueing and spotting should be pretty consistent. You're going to find if someone's going to have a problem on the prosthetic side when they're running, it's usually because they're going to scuff the foot, or the foot's not going to make it all the way through, or the knee's not going to be stable when they land. So their fall is going to be to their right, to the prosthetic side. Now, patients will try to overcompensate that by leaning away, and they may lose their balance to the left, but they'll bounce and correct that. If they really lose their balance or don't get the prosthetic through, the direction they're going to fall is to the right. So, or to right, in his case, to the right, to the prosthetic side. That means when I'm spotting someone, I want to be on the prosthetic side. Now, where's my hands? Well, I definitely want a gait belt on somebody, because I want to be able to come around behind him and grab onto that gait belt. That gait belt is giving me a couple of different things. I can control so much of what Samuel's doing by my hand on this belt. Most of what I'm going to need if he has a problem is elevation. I'm going to want to lift up. So if Sam's coming along and I've always usually got my hand in front as we're starting to move, and you'll see this in a second when I demonstrate it. I'm in this position, or I may even have my hand on here, because if he starts to fall, he's going to be losing his balance and lowering towards me. What I do not want to be is over here, right? Because I'm going to hurt my back and end up landing on top of him when he goes down. What I want to be as close to him as possible, and if he gets in trouble, what I'm going to do is pull Sam high into me, all right? So I'm still taking a step or two, but a high into me, tuck into my chest here, because if I can give him height and lift this side up, the prosthetic is going to come back underneath him in a stable position. So if he has a problem, this is where I want to be. If I'm on that side and he has a problem, I'm going to get pulled right over on top of him. So I want to be on this side. Now, why is the gait belt so important? Because this is really right at his center of mass. And remember, with his center of mass, I can control so much about what Samuel's doing. And most of the thing with running is that I'm going to need is height. He doesn't want to run low. In the future, when he becomes a good runner, he's going to run very low, just a very relaxed run. But to learn to run initially, it becomes a very bouncy proposition. It looks very bouncy, almost like Tigger, if I'm not too old to use that reference. You're going to bounce up and down because that is getting enough height to make sure you clear the prosthetic and step all the way through. So in his particular case, if I'm grabbing here, I can elevate him and actually get him standing up taller, which is what I need him to do. Also from this position, if I give Sam just a slight push forward, he has no choice but to move. And if he's going too much for me, I can always pull him back. And again, with very little action from me, if my grip is at his center of mass, I can control very easily his speed. Now, when someone begins to learn the running process, it's going to be a little scary when they first go into that run. That first airborne step they take, sometimes a little shocking. I've had people cry. I've had people do lots of different things that they thought I'd never run again, never feel that feeling. And they're also scared to death because they weren't sure what was going to happen. So with that is also being in a position where they feel stable, solid. Even though something is a little scary, you've got a good grip on them and you've got them in the right position. Getting them back into running then could be that you get them moving through the motions we're going to talk about, and then use your support on this hand to lift up your back hand a little bit and push them forward. Giving them a little more speed than they want will create that running mechanism speed that they need. So let's talk about learning to run, because learning to run doesn't start with running, surprisingly enough. Learning to run starts with getting the prosthetic well out in front of you. The worst thing you can do when you're running is short step yourself. If you don't get that foot all the way through, you short step yourself. You've probably done that sometimes where you've caught your foot on something and next thing you know, it's head over heels going forward. So you really want to make sure you have plenty of step length. So I tell patients from the beginning, it's a 3-step process to learn to run. The first step is simply get the prosthetic out in front of you. And don't forget to keep doing that. Always come back around to getting the prosthetic out in front of you, because if it's far enough in front of you, you have a good landing position when you go airborne. So it's not running to start with. Sam, let's go ahead and turn this direction. It's not running to start with. It's simply having Sam work on this idea of taking a long step. Now remember, how am I going to tell him that? Sam, I'm going to have you kind of really kick that leg out in front of you or take a very long stride. That's not what I want when they walk, right? I'm teaching them to walk. This is not the mechanism I want. So remember, this is a running mechanism. The thing that's also important to differentiate is, Sam, I said, I don't want you to high knee. Don't try to lift your knee to kick forward. If you do that, the knee's just going to bend farther, take longer to get back straight, and not be in a stable position. I want him to almost kick like he's throwing his prosthetic off him down the track. Like he's just going to scoot it down the track or kick it down the track very low. That's going to make the knee come back into extension much more rapidly, which is the position he wants to be in. So if I'm with him on this, I just say, Sam, all I want you to do is take a step with your sound foot first, and then kick that leg out there, longer step, not too far, not too far, just a long kick out, a long kick out, a long kick out, a long kick out. Good, turn around right there. Good, I'm going to turn around on this side. I'm a little bit in the way, but I'm going to step behind so you can see this. That's all I want you to do. Don't do too much. Now, disclaimer, Sam knows how to run. I've taught him to run in the past, so he's always a runner. He wants to go into it. So we're using him to demonstrate this process right now, but then you're going to see him put it all together and run as well. So, but he remembers the months ago when we taught this first time. So all I want from you is, again, step forward with your left foot and just kick that leg out simple. There you go, straight forward. Not so much high, straight, kick it down the track, kick it down the track, kick it down the track, kick it down the track. There you go. Now, I might do that 2 times, might do that 10 times. He makes it look easy because he's very confident. But many times patients who are not going to feel confident really kicking that leg out there in front of them and putting their weight out on it. So you have to do that enough times until you say, okay, he can consistently kick his leg out there and take a really long stride and have a really good step position out in front of him. When he's got that, we go to step number 2. Step number 2 goes from, once you've kicked the leg out in front of you, Sam, I want you to think about those butt muscles on the right side, on your prosthetic side, residual limb side, and pull back. When you kick it out and you feel that heel hit the ground, you're going to grab the ground and pull back. Again, not the way I want you to work when you're walking. This is a running mechanism. Now, all I want you to do, we're not trying to run. We're just simply trying to get the leg out in front of you, pull back on it a little bit. So let's go ahead and try that. Just step forward, kick out, pull back, harder, pull back. Stop right there, and we'll turn around all the way on this side. Now, all you're going to see with Sam is this starts to look faster. So instead of just a kick out and the legs hanging and then he walks over it, it's a kick out and a pull back, and you start to see things start to move a little bit quicker. So this is a mechanism, if you never get to this 3rd step, that someone can just learn how to walk faster. If I want to go faster without running, you can do this and you really still not left the walking mechanism. So same thing, step forward with your left, kick way out, pull back hard, pull back hard, pull back hard, pull back hard, pull back hard. Excellent, and stop right there, turn around. Now, if that goes well, you may do that once, twice, 20 times. It really doesn't matter until it goes well. When it goes well and he really feels like it's coming along, he's got the feel for it, now we're going to say, now this next thing is going to actually have you run. And how do you do that? Well, you're still going to do the same kick out. Don't forget to get the leg out in front of you first. Pull back, and at the same time, Sam, that you're pulling back on the residual limb side, I want you to think about this left knee and drive it forward. Think of like a sprinter in the Olympics. You see those knees really coming forward. All I want you to think about is as you're pulling back, drive that knee forward. As you do, trust me, at that point in time, you will go airborne for a step. And at that point is where I need to be close to the individual and make sure they feel comfortable that they have someone spotting them. So remember, we're going to walk into this. You're going to kick out, pull back, and then run your knee through or drive your knee through. Okay? So go ahead and kick out, pull back, and drive that knee through, drive that knee through, drive that knee through. Good. Step around, turn around. Excellent. Come on back. Now you'll notice that Sam stepped right in there because he has confidence. What's going to happen on a lot of your patients on that first step, they're going to be shocked by the fact that it actually happened so quickly. And at that point in time, again, they may panic. So at that, stay close to them, hold on to them, let them kind of feel it. If they don't, they kind of they take a run and then they take a couple of walk steps. If you have a nice long runway, keep going. Try to get them back into the rhythm as quickly as possible so they realize it was scary, but no problem, I can handle that. So coming back with Sam again, the same position, I'm going to have him step with his left foot first, kick the prosthetic, pull back, drive your opposite knee forward. So go ahead, that's it. Pull back, pull back. Good, and come on down. Excellent. Now again, makes that look easy, right? It's like a cooking show where you open the oven and it's all good. It doesn't happen that fast. Trust me, it's going to take a little time working with somebody to get that feel, for them to get the confidence that every step they'll repeat it. But the next most important thing for Sam, as far as the positioning, remember what I said to you, if Sam was getting into trouble, not trouble, he was a little fearful, so he couldn't quite get enough energy to get over the top. Remember, your hand back here can dictate how fast he moves. And you can give him a little bit of elevation, a little bit of a push forward, and he will go faster. That will put him back into the run, even if he's a little apprehensive. And sometimes you need to do that early on to get them comfortable with that mechanism. So the last thing on the leg over leg running with above knee or transfemoral amputee is this idea of stepping in and stepping out of running. So what we're doing now, and you'll find with your patient, is you have them take a couple of kick-out steps, a couple of pull-back steps, and then drive the knee through. So they're basically walking into the run. But in reality, you want to also learn how do I just start running, right? And step right off. And the key is always prosthetic foot, take a step with your sound foot first, right? Sound foot first, kick that prosthetic out and get right into the run from that position. And then most importantly is to remember when you're coming out of running. So I want to teach that drill with the Sam to realize that when I'm running and I want to come to a stop, what am I going to do? As I decelerate, my body lowers. And if my body lowers, my foot trips. So you find a lot of guys that are learning to run, they run pretty well and they get to the end of the run and they all fall down. So you got to think when you get to the end of the run and you're going to say, okay, now I'm going to walk or come to a stop, I really have to think very aggressively on the prosthetic side to really kick that prosthetic through or take a really aggressive step with the prosthetic in between the run and the walk step. More aggressive than actually the running steps to make sure you don't drag the foot on that last step. Now, because Sam has some experience already, I'm going to step back. But what I want you to think about, Sam, is I want you to, again, take that first step right into the motion. We're only going to go about halfway here, and I want you to just kind of walk out of it. So, on the prosthetic, weight first, right? Boom, kick it out. There you go, walk out of it. Good, turn around. Same mechanism, step into it. Boom, get it running, and walk out of it. Now you'll notice, if you can see, it's subtle, but you'll notice that as he does this mechanism, he's running and he's looking smooth, and then he kind of takes a real aggressive movement of the knee to walk out of it. That's because he's learned tripping multiple times coming out of running that you scuff that foot and then you're like, oh, I gotta get myself caught up. So the idea of this is simply teaching them how to do that. And then of course you can speed play. There's lots of different things you can do. Can I go from running to jogging? You say, well, running to jogging, that seems easier. Actually, it's not. Running is easier because he's going to aggressively move. But as he gets more confidence, he'll realize he can put less effort in and just jog pace. So you teach, surprisingly, you teach running, then you teach jogging, then you teach sprinting. All right, so those three things in that mechanism, and then you teach the patient how to change gears between the different motions. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you is, again, leg over leg running with a bent knee or a free knee or a swinging knee motion, but in a below the knee amputee versus above the knee amputee. So a little bit different mechanism. You can teach it exactly the same way, the three-step method, which is simply kick that leg out in front of you, practice that long stride, pull back on it, practice kicking out and pulling back, and then kick out, pull back, and as you're pulling back, drive your opposite knee forward, and you will go into a run. You can teach it that way. But with a below knee amputee, you can also teach them just simply a march into a run. And sometimes it's easier to get them to do that faster, and at the same point, it gets into a quicker motion from the beginning. Remember, the number one principle when you're having any trouble or teaching patients, you're getting kind of frustrated, number one is you've got to get the prosthetic out in front of you, and you've got to get some height. If you get a short step, a low short step, that is the kiss of death as far as having a problem with running. So you really want to get that mechanism. Spotting wise, again, Mike knows how to run, so again, it's not like we have to do a lot of prep on him, but I'm going to just let him demonstrate the motion. But I would be in the same position here where I can control him forward or backward motion all from here. And if he gets in trouble, I can bring him into me and elevate or lift up. Again, I don't want to be in a position where I am away from him when he starts to go, because he's really just going to, momentum's going to take us both to the ground. So at this point, Mike, all I'm going to have you do is a march step. So Mike, real simple, just kind of picking those knees up. You're not really trying to move in space, but just really marching in place. So it's a really simple process. Make sure he has motion, right? Very simple, pretty easy. If someone's just getting started though and they haven't been walking that long, just that alone, spending that much time in stance might feel a little awkward to them. Now, Mike, we're going to do the exact same thing, just simply march, but you're going to keep that march, but we're going to move forward when we're marching. Okay? So again, just picking that foot up and marching forward. That's it, nothing more than that. Now again, with Mike in this position, I can have him do the same thing, and all I do is push on Mike a little bit, and we start marching, here, come around, a little faster. that's all I did at that point in time, was give Mike a little push right on his center mass, and he had no choice but to go a little bit quicker. Okay, so Mike, we're going to do basically the same thing. But this time, take a couple of march steps. Feel like once I've got my feet in the air, again, you're thinking like we talked earlier about this idea of a sprinter on the track. You can see kind of knees and elbows, right? Things are coming up and I'm just moving. All right, at that point in time, don't overthink it. We'll just go ahead and let it move, progress right into an aggressive run step. Okay, so knees up and step. There you go. And push forward. And then we go right into, there you go, and come back down. So the mechanism for him, come over towards me a little bit more, perfect, is this idea of, and Mike will tell you, all I did right there was had a hold of him and said, okay, now it's time to go. And I don't have to tell him it's time to go. He has no choice but to go. And if he feels good about that, he'll just pick his knees up and then put them down, and he's into a run mode. And so people are, again, really fearful about it, and then they start realizing, well, that really wasn't that hard. That's the key. You want them to not have the fear of that straight ahead motion and going airborne between one foot to the other. So Mike, same thing, but this time if I'm out of the picture, let's assume again we've taught him some, so I don't have to hold on to him, I'm right beside him. But I just want you to think about, Mike, on that first step. That first step is kind of a big step, all right? Just kind of power off with that knee. Think of a guy coming out of the blocks. He doesn't come out of the blocks with his legs low, right? Comes out of the blocks driving those knees up. So that same kind of thing. You just want to think, I'm in this position, I'm going to drive my knees up, and boom. Then I'm going to take off and step. All right? So whenever you're ready. Up, up. Excellent, good. Now you say, well, gosh, that looks kind of odd, like he's bouncing up and down. Exactly right, right? It is much easier to take someone from a high bouncy run to a relaxed run than to try to teach a relaxed run, because a relaxed run is really close to tripping. If you ever watch yourself walk or run, you don't give yourself very much clearance. So what we're doing here is giving Mike lots of clearance, which is padding our bet towards success. He's going to have a successful mechanism of moving and feel confidence. When he has more confidence, then he'll start to relax and not feel like he has to high knee it so much. But I high knee it and teach that bouncy run because it's safe. And then think, okay, I feel good about it now. I don't need that anymore. I can relax and start to just run. Now, the last component on the below knee amputees, just like the above knee amputees, is that idea of transitions. Now, we're not talking about running. Remember, it sounds like, well, running a turn, that can't be too hard. But if you're at speed, running a turn on a prosthetic, it's not as easy as it sounds. You really have to learn step control as far as distance step control to make that turn and make that turn under control. So that's an issue we'll get into, and we'll talk real specific about that in future video. But the biggest issue when getting someone started is you don't want them to trip starting or trip stopping. And that's probably the most common thing that they'll do. So right off the gate, what we want him to do is exaggerate that little bit of high knee to make sure he doesn't trip. And then when he comes out of running, the same thing. Your last step is, I don't want you to stop, Mike, so I'm going to only have you go about halfway, kind of jump right into a run, halfway, and then walk out of it. Because again, the problem can be is those knees are going up, and he comes out of it, and he doesn't bring the knees up, he comes over the front of the foot. So he really wants to think about when he's running is picking those knees up a little bit. When I come out of it, kind of high knee step it for one step on the prosthetic side. And as soon as I got to take one step, I'm out walking. And then a drill I would do is have an in and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it. So, you know, walk 5 steps, run 10 steps. Walk 5 steps, run 10 steps. And now jog 10 steps, and then run 10 steps, and then walk out of it. And you just keep changing that speed. Now, we're lucky in our facility to have a very long runway. Wherever you are, you might need to go outside if at all possible, gives you more room, or in a hallway someplace. If you've got 10 feet, it just isn't going to work. Running, much like walking, is a rhythm act. So if you can't get into a rhythm, it's very hard to feel consistent with the motion. So all I want you to do with Mike on this is step back a little bit. We're going to do this one time, and I just want you to think we're going to step right into it, kind of just a bit of a high knee step. 3 or 4 steps, no big deal. And I want you to take a kind of that aggressive step on the prosthetic side to come out of it and just walk away. Okay, we'll do that down and coming back. So up, and then just walk out of it, step, step. Good. Now, not so high on this one, just a little bit of a lighter, kind of a high knee, but not much. And out of it. There you go. See, a little bit of a heel to make sure that foot isn't going to drag on him. Right? Really important motion to make sure he clears it, because all this is about success and confidence. If that patient falls 2 or 3 times the first time they're learning, it's going to be really hard for them to come back to this. So I really want to be in a position to stabilize them, feel confident with it, and make sure that whatever it looks like, it's a success. So what's really important is to also consider the technology. What technology are they wearing? You'll notice patients today were wearing a variety of different types of technology, but in particular Samuel, you can see he's an X3 microprocessor technology, and think, oh, well, that's why he could run. And in reality, the microprocessors are not the best running knees. Some of them are adaptable to be able to run, but your true running setups are really mechanical, straight mechanical knees. It more is based on the foot, and the carbon fiber foot is going to be helpful, but in almost any technology of a level of foot today, you can run. So as a below the knee or transtibial amputee, you really don't need any special technology at all. You simply have to have a stable setup as far as your suspension is concerned. And potentially start person slow and look at that alignment. Are they making a decent mid-foot or heel contact and then rolling through the toe? Are they landing all in toe contact? Again, looking at that alignment is more important than the actual technology. Now, if you're talking above knee amputation, then certainly you need a knee that at least you can stabilize or stiffen into flexion so that it doesn't bend as much. If that knee is a free swinging knee and you go to run, the knee is going to kick up behind you so high that by the time it comes back forward, you don't have the timing to be able to step out and run. So you simply need a knee that has the ability to dial up resistance to flexion so it doesn't bend so easily and extends very easily. And almost any, again, mechanical knee can do that and has the ability with basic hydraulics to be able to make that adjustment. So technology doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be high-end technology, and you can learn to run on it at almost any basic level. And if you lock the knee out, you can do the running leg over leg with a fixed knee position, or the hop skip run with a fixed knee, or even again with any basic knee system.
Hi there, and thanks for watching this video. This video is part of a series on prosthetic interventions, ranging from managing the residual limb after amputation to running with a prosthesis. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the other videos in this series as well. Finally, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and you can always find out more information about Mission Gait at missiongait.org.